What up, guys? Kevin here. I want to talk about being a company man, being loyal to someone who signs your checks. Signs your checks. In Trails of Azure, I just played Trails of Azure. There's this group called the Jaegers. They're basically for hire thugs. They do the dirty work, but they're not really loyal to anybody. They're loyal to whoever's signing the check. And what they say goes. And they do some evil shit, but hey, that's what they got paid to do. That's how they get by. You could judge them for it, but I kind of respect the Jaegers for not taking sides and just getting the job done and working for their employer. Hey, this person's cutting me a check. I'm going to do what they say. I think Pete Hines needs a little bit of that, a little bit of understanding of who is signing his checks. And that is Microsoft. Microsoft bought Bethesda. And I'm sure when Microsoft bought Bethesda, there's probably a contract in place that says, hey, we're not buying you guys unless, the higher-ups like a Todd Howard, maybe a Pete Hines, and others stay on to help ship Bethesda, the Bethesda games we know and love for at least the next few years, which probably includes Starfield. And Pete Hines seemed a little annoyed that his games are no longer coming to PlayStation. And now we got an email that he was annoyed that when they announced Activision Blizzard's being bought, they immediately came out and said it's going to PlayStation and Todd Howard's going to DICE. And some journo is going to come up and ask him questions about exclusivity. And he's mad that he didn't get a heads up from Xbox. Now, it's more about the messaging. I don't think he's totally aiming at the idea of his games only being exclusive to Xbox. I think he came out and said, it's great. Now Starfield gets to ship because we're only making it for one platform. I guess it ship earlier. But I can't help but read between the lines. I think Pete Hines is still disappointed that his games are not coming to PlayStation. And I think it's time to just move on, Pete Hines. I've been part of a merger and acquisition. Hated it. Hated the company. I just remember one day I just drove in. I'm like, why am I at this moment in my life? Why am I driving to a company I didn't sign up to work for a job I hate because I don't align with their goals? I don't. And at that moment, I came in, I told myself, once I get to my first break, I'm out of here. I'm going to go talk to my manager and bounce. And that was the most blissful 2 hours that I worked at that company because I knew I was done. I'm like, I can't work for a company where my goals don't align with its. It was just that easy. I left. I'm pretty sure Pete Hines has a great history with Bethesda, but that's not your Bethesda anymore. That's Xbox's Bethesda. So maybe his contract is still in place that he has to stay on. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy leaves. If I was him, I would probably leave. Though I have seen him with the Xbox execs. He seems to get along with them just fine. Maybe and this was like well over a year ago, maybe there's some guilt of like, oh crap, we shipped Redfall. Like, yeah, Pete Hines, you shipped Redfall. That was you. And Xbox should have stepped in, but I think there's definitely some communication issues between maybe just Pete Hines and Bethesda, but I just don't like what I see from him. It's time to get up and leave. Like, it's time to go. Go work for I'm sure PlayStation would love to have you. But it's just as an Xbox fan and just as Xbox in general, you're in third place, you're in last place, get treated like dog shit. Well, man, what did Phil Spencer say that was just like, wow. When you really think about it, yeah, that's pretty effed up. Where he says he ships Xbox games on PlayStation, where PlayStation makes 30% off those games and use that money to keep games from coming to Xbox. Yeah, Xbox doesn't need any PlayStation fanboy lovers. They just don't. If I'm Phil Spencer today, I would send out an email. Hey, we get it. Some of you might be Team Blue. Go work for Team Blue. If I find out, you know, any noise about, oh, this game's not coming to PlayStation or anything like that, you're out. You're out. You're out. Yeah, and even Phil Spencer put out an email I saw yesterday, pissed off about or he was just saying why it was okay for Fallout 76 to be on PlayStation Now and not other games. And he was explaining he wants the whole portfolio, all or nothing. He was saying it's publishers come to us not on a game per game basis on the revenue split. They come at us with their whole portfolio. We want to do that with our games, but he said he felt different with Fallout 76 because it was a dying game. It was basically, who cares? Just keep it there. And he was also saying, because he's seeing a lot of Bethesda games going to PlayStation Now and everything. And he's like, yo, we need to cut this out. We need to be one here. So that's a job that after the Activision Blizzard goes through, because we know there's going to be a lot of that. It's going to be a lot of PlayStation 11 weirdos now working at Xbox. You got to get them out. You got to get them out. You either sit them down and tell them, hey, you work for Xbox. Give us a month. Give us a couple months and see how you like it. But if not, get the F out. Because as an Xbox fanboy myself, I'm just tired of seeing this shit. I'm just tired of seeing games skip Xbox and all the stuff that's coming out where Sony is just complete dickheads. And they don't care. They get celebrated for it. I think Xbox need to start being extreme dickheads. And yeah, they'll get some pushback. But eventually, they'll get celebrated for it just because that's just how they operate. We see how Nintendo does when they go after people emulating their game or whatever. They get celebrated for it. It's like, that's Nintendo. That's Nintendo. Protecting their brand. Xbox, you got to protect your brand. You got to get the Pete Hineses out of there. All right, I got to go. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you later. Later.